Hey, welcome everybody to the Think Like a Marketer show, where we interview marketers, innovators, and entrepreneurs and find out what makes them think so differently. I'm Randall Chestnut, your host, and my guest today is an amazing story of love, work ethic, and how having the right people around you is important. My guest today is Rodolfo Vargas. He's a self-made millionaire, and we all know that that's not a true statement, that every millionaire has a team, and he's definitely built a great team. Rodolfo Vargas moved here 12 years ago from El Salvador, and he's going to have some amazing stories, how he went from moving from El Salvador to just a few weeks ago having the Queen of England's personal chef cook for him and his wife. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to my friend, my man, Mr. Rodolfo Vargas. Hey, Rodolfo. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing, Randall?
Man,
Happy to be here, man.
Oh, man. You know, I call you on occasion. At least once a month, I call you.
Yes.
Since we've known each other. And you are a busy man, and rightfully so, because doing the great things that you do, it takes a lot of work and effort, and a lot of people pull at your strings. But I want to so there's some great stories. I told you that I want to mention this one story, and I think it's a great story, right?
You can go ahead. You can go share it.
So for all of those people who don't know, Rodolfo works for a company called PHP. He's an investor. He's a co-owner, and he works with a gentleman by the name of Patrick Bet-David. If you haven't followed him, he has a channel on YouTube, Valuetainment. He also is on, pretty much everywhere. He's like Gary and Grant and all these guys. And in some cases, he's a little more polished than I would say. But he tells a story about you. And I think it was in Dallas, an event that he came on. And I think when he was with Ty Lopez, he told this same story, that he said that he had a guy in an office that for 3 years, he couldn't sell a policy to save his life.
Nothing.
Zero. He leaves, goes back to El Salvador, gets married, comes back, and kills it. And I'm like, okay, that's a great story. He didn't get in depth on that story, so I'm going to let you have the opportunity. So I want you first to take me back and like give everybody a sense of what El Salvador is like. Everybody you see it on TV, and you have these. Give me a sense of what El Salvador was like, because I know you got your degree in economics, and then what brought you over the first time.
Well, let me tell you, El Salvador is beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Let me tell you, I loved it. I grew up over there, and loving family. My parents always loved me, and the place. We remember we used to go to the beach every single weekend, and we loved it. I mean, had a happy childhood. It was amazing. And the country has its own issues on crime and stuff like that. And because of that, my parents had to immigrate. And I didn't want it to come. A lot of time I didn't thought I was going to be coming to America. I stay over there. And I told my parents, you know what? You go to the U.S. I'm going to stay over here in El Salvador studying, because I never thought I was going to come to the United States. I thought my plan was to stay in El Salvador and to do something over there. I was the idea of I want to stay and to benefit, to help the country to improve. That was my idea in the beginning. And all of a sudden things changed. My life changed. And I came into the US. That was in 2006. It was actually May 6th of 2006 when I came into the US. Oh my gosh, didn't know English, didn't know anything. People say, oh my, this dude doesn't know English yet, by the way, after 12 years. But anyway, I came into the US. I had fears, man. It was so big. I remember I used to see people like so tall, in El Salvador. If you get to know me, I'm 5'6", okay, 5'4" in a good day or something like that. But I came into, everybody used to look so tall, and I came. My parents at the time, they were struggling financially, a lot of struggles and everything. And I remember meeting with my mom and my dad, and I say my dream when I came into the U.S. was to go to school. That was my dream. All my dream at that time was, if I'm gonna go to the U.S., I want to go to school. That was my entire dream. And when I came, I was already 21 years old. So I told my mom, listen, I want to go to school. That was my dream. She looked at me. She said, "Listen, son, I know that you went to school in El Salvador, but you're not gonna go to school. You're old. You're too old to go to school. You're not gonna go to school." You know, I was the opposite. You know, a lot of people don't want to go to school. I wanted to go to school. My mom said, "No, your brother and your sister are gonna go to school. You're not gonna go to school. You need to go find a job." And so I went and looked for a job, and I ended up working in retail, which it was not a the greatest experience ever. But
What you
that's
sell? What retail did you sell?
at Sears. No,
It's
I
oh
didn't
my
sell.
God, you sold at
I
Sears? Or you didn't sell, you worked at Sears.
I no, I didn't sell at Sears. I went to this interview. So here's what happened to me. So my mom says, "Listen, son, you need to go find a job." And my mom's dream was for me to work at Costco. Okay. So every time I go to Costco, every time I'm with Costco, my mom, "Rodolfo, apply. Listen, you need to apply for Costco." I say, "Why, mom?" She says, "Because they offer benefits." So every time, look at this. I'm this so annoying. Every time I go to Costco, my mom is pulling me aside, "Go and apply, go and apply." You know, when you go to Costco,
Right.
there is a customer service. So I say one day, "Okay, I'm gonna go to Costco, whatever." And I go to Costco, they didn't hire me. They say, "No, we're not gonna hire you. You don't." I show my resume, and because it didn't matter for them if I went to school or anything, so they say no. The second place I went, you know what I was? I
Where?
went to Walmart. I went to Walmart. Even you go to Walmart, and in Walmart, you need to go and apply online. You need to go to the place to apply online. So I went online. They call me for an interview. They say no. So by mistake, I go to Sears. Okay? By mistake, what I mean, I'm in the mall and my parents are in the mall with my brothers and sisters, and I say, "I'm gonna go to Sears, whatever, I'm gonna go on Sears." And I go to Sears. And that day that I go to Sears, they are hiring people. That day they're doing interviews. Weird.
What?
So I go there and I said, "Man, I want to apply because they have the sign. Can I apply?" "Yeah, sure, come over here." I go to the interview, and I didn't know what I was applying. I just wanted to get a job, and I go there, and they look at me, and because I was looking for jobs, I have resumes in the car, so I bring out my resume, I give it to them, and I say, "Yeah, come over here." This guy is doing the interview to me. This dude is doing the interview. They look at me and they say, "Oh my gosh, you look exactly what we're looking for." And
Oh, they
I
said
say,
those words. You look
they
just
say, "Yeah," and I was, "My God, this is amazing! I'm gonna get a job." And the guy said,
how old were
eh,
you? How old were you here?
21 years
21?
old,
Okay.
21 years old. And the guy said, and I said, "Awesome. What is the job?" And the guy said, "It's called loss prevention." And I said, "Loss prevention? Loss prevention? I mean, what is that?" I mean, I thought because I was a financial guy and the guy looked at my resume, I thought loss prevention was something related with money and finances. Because loss prevention, I said, "Oh, I'm preventing losses of the company." I love it, man. That's what I want. But you know what loss prevention is?
I do.
They,
You're making sure they don't have shoplifters. So Matt Sapala is on. Send him a shout out. He says, tell him
Matapala.
about the loss prevention story. So I guess that was the story he's
The,
referring to.
yes.
Yeah,
Let
so
me tell you.
I wanted to, because you have so many people here that supported you along the way. Some great people. You got Brian. You got Ron Walker is on here. Any of these names ring a bell to you?
Yeah, of course. It's
Dallas.
awesome people.
And hey,
Dallas.
we got people on board that are coming on. Hey, if you happen to have a question or a funny story, feel free to share it in the comments because we have them in the hot seat and we'd love to embarrass our guests here. So now you're at Sears. How long were you at Sears?
A couple years, like 2 years.
And you were just preventing losses by like left and right?
Let me tell you, Randall, I because loss prevention, but I knew a little bit how to fight.
Oh
But you
no.
can, but here's the issue: you cannot wear a gun. You cannot wear a gun. You're in California. I'm at the mall, okay? And I used to watch because you can see at the cameras and everything. So I used to watch people stealing, and I used to think, "Oh my gosh, look at that guy! Oh my God, that guy is those tall guys, 6'5". I'm not gonna catch that guy. I'm gonna let that guy."
He's good. You just go ahead, take that washing machine with you,
Man, I
sir.
don't care, man. Get that. And let me tell you, every day people use it. So every day, but you know, I love that. You know what I like about the job? The people, because if you're the loss prevention, you need to work as a team. You need to back up each other. So let me tell you, I hated. I remember the first time I got a paycheck. it was so embarrassed. Like it was so annoying. I've been working all this time and I only get paid like $300. And I say, oh my gosh. So because I at that time I don't know, they're taking money from this, from the other stuff. And but we used to work as a team because if you're loss prevention, I remember one person used to go first, and the other person need to be watching the cameras, and the other person needs to go, and the other person, when a person is leaving, you need to run and catch the other person. And so I like that part. I like the part of working as a team. But I was a couple of years over there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now we move forward. You're at Sears. You leave Sears. Now move me into who introduced you to the insurance industry or the financial industry. I don't know where did that. How did that happen?
So
Anybody in particular?
yeah. My brother is talking to this girl at school. Okay. So my brother is high school. He's going to high school. So he's talking to this girl. This girl, and my brother says that my dad was looking for something to do. My dad, okay. That time I was in El Salvador. I because at that time I used to come and leave, and I used to go in El Salvador and come back because I was dating my girlfriend, my future wife. Okay, I was dating, so I would go to El Salvador, stay over there for 3 weeks. But anyway, so my brother is talking to this girl in high school, and I talked to my dad. Okay, and the girl dad was in insurance, was doing business, was in insurance, and because of this girl talked to my brother connected my dad to her dad. Okay, that's
Okay.
how it ended up. So my dad goes to the meeting, and my dad goes and see this presentation. My dad says, "This is not for me. This is not for me." And my mom goes to a presentation. My mom says, "Oh, you know who will be good? My son will be good." Okay. So that night, uh, my mom called me. You know, my mom is the one that wanted me to work at Costco.
She's upgrading you.
She's a great. So she
Oh,
called me.
that's
I'm in El
awesome.
Salvador. I'm with my girlfriend. With Ceci. I'm with Ceci that night. So my mom wanted to talk to me. She wanted to talk to me, and I'm receiving missed calls from her. So I receive a call. Mom, what's up? And my mom says, "Listen, son, when you come to the U.S., I already find out what you're gonna be doing." And I thought, oh my God, this is gonna be another one of these things, man.
She's like Target is the place to be.
Yeah, we find we find Target, and that would be high end, you know.
Yeah.
And so and I came, and since my mom, I trusted, and I say, I'm in, I'm gonna go. So the moment I went, I go to this meeting. I don't listen to the meeting. I don't care what it is. I didn't know. I was just gonna go. My mom told me to be here. She told me that I will be good. I'm in. So nobody convinced me. Nobody convinced me. I heard Patrick speak the first time. And this is like really, I decided to do this.
So hold on one second. So make sure I understand because maybe the
Uh-huh.
audience has questions. So you were at a PHP meeting. Was this
Yes,
PHP? And
yes.
the person before Patrick
No.
spoke.
It kind of like this. Okay. So
Okay,
I
go
go
ahead.
there and I get there late. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So
you
yes,
Patrick
yeah,
loves that.
if you know me, you know me. Okay. So I get there late. Okay. And yeah, I'm already there. But I heard this guy speak. And, and he's speaking, and one thing, he spoke a lot of stuff. Okay, I remember that day, there was somebody speaking about finances. I couldn't care less about finances, insurance. I wanted to make some money. My my ambition was never ahead of I want to become a millionaire. I dream about it. I dream about the stuff like that, but I was never like, really, this is the reason why I'm here. And I heard him speak. And the only story that I heard was this. This is the only thing I remember until now. I remember. And it gets emotional when he says, this guy named Patrick is speaking, right? Which is Patrick Bet David. And he's saying, you know what? I did this, I did that. And my dad, he said, he used to work in 99-cent store as a cashier. Okay? He says, my dad used to work in 99-cent store. He had 13 heart attacks. And
13 heart
because
attacks.
13 heart
No
attacks.
way.
Yes. And
Wow.
and because and 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 because I decided, and he showed he was in debt and all that kind of stuff, and because I decided to move ahead in life, because I decided to be somebody, I've been able to extend the life of my dad. And oh my gosh, she said that, bam, it catches. You know what? I say, oh my gosh, you say something like this. And at that time, I'm broke, I'm desperate, I'm depressed, I'm overweight, I have all the issues. And I say, if this guy, what he's saying is true, and he can do that, I'm in. I want to follow a guy like that because I want to learn how to make a difference. I want to make a difference for my family, for my parents, for the community, to my country, and all that kind of good stuff. So it went from my head to being lost to being confused to boom, it catches the heart. So that's the way that I got started.
You know what's so great about that story, Rodolfo, is that that's exactly what thinking like a marketer is about. Is learning what is it that's everyone has something that speaks to their heart, and it's not always the same thing. Like for you, it was your family. I mean, it's obvious. Like I could extend the life of my loved ones. I'm in. All that other stuff didn't speak to you. It did later once you
Yeah,
got
I
in, and
agree.
then you're like, because you were open to receive it. And I think that that's it's so indicative of every trade, like understanding who you're working with and understand what it is that their needs are. And if you can figure that out, just like Patrick did, because he's a great speaker, he's a great orator, fancy term for right. He spoke to your heart. So now you've been introduced to PHP. Patrick got your heart, and you started working like right away. Did you have to quit? You weren't working at Sears at this time, were you?
No, I was.
Okay, so you left
Okay,
Sears at this time.
I left Sears a little bit later.
Okay.
I was still working at Sears and trying to do insurance. Okay, and that's basically the message that I heard that Patrick taught me about the 4 ways to create wealth, and that was actually the topic that we're having today. And I remember when I got started in the business, he said, "Listen, man, Rodolfo," and he went over what are my goals, my dreams, and got it though. The heart was there, but then he was about, or people who was around me was about, okay, Rodolfo, how can I help you achieve your goals and dreams? And I told him my goals and dreams. Now he says, point number one, he said, you need to learn sales. I say, me sales? The moment he said, I'm out. I mean, I'm out. Like I'm
Everyone says
horrible.
that. Everyone.
Man, the moment you tell me sales, I'm out. And the story was like this. I remember he said sales. Everybody can learn sales because sales is not something that we're born with. Sales is not. I was not born being a sales guy. I was horrible at sales. I would be the guy, like honestly, if we're in a party. Yeah, I can be around people, but sometimes I like to be by myself. I would rather like go and sit down and read a book. Like that weird I am. Okay. Sometimes being around too many people. I mean, I had to learn the stuff. So stuff like learn. You need to learn sales. Learn not. You can learn is an skill. It's not something that we're born with. You know, if you think of somebody who does sales, if you think of our actual president, you know, I mean, we're not talking about politics today, but we have I mean, who was better salesperson? I mean, Trump or Hillary? You know, Trump was a
Yeah.
better salesperson. You know, when you think Obama and McCain, you remember McCain?
Oh yeah.
Obama was was better salesperson. One Republican, one Democrat. If you think of Ronald Reagan, you know, one of my things I love to watch Ronald Reagan all YouTube videos.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I like to watch the way that he debates. And he will make his opponents, his enemies, to like him. Oh my God, that was amazing.
Yep.
He was a great salesperson, so I like to watch it. He was great at sales. Presidents are great at sales. The other one, John F. Kennedy, great guy. So man, the guy looked like a model, kind of like you. And and people like JF Kennedy, you know, you remind me Kennedy, okay, Randall. But
now
but
you're
that's
now you're a comedian today.
but salespeople, it's sales, like really sales. For me, I had a bad stigma about salespeople, you know, more than insurance salesperson. You know, oh, who does insurance sales? Oh man, that's the old dude who likes to sell you stuff, and I don't like that stuff. So I had to learn sales, and I started reading books about sales. So that was the first point. I believe the first process I went through. Can I go from having a job, having a salary, telling me somebody what to do, for me to be able to learn sales and make money for myself? Can I go from that to this one? That was I will say the first process that I got it when I got started.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least say this, that your brother jumped on and he said he's so
Hmm.
proud of you. Marcelo?
Oh, awesome. By the way, I'm here because of Marcelo. You remember the story I told you in the beginning?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
Marcelo was talking to this girl. But Marcelo was 16, 15 years old when that happened. You never know. But
Yeah.
Marcelo,
Man, yeah.
hmm
Shout out to the brother.
shout
So,
out to the brother.
so your family, how many brothers,
So
sisters?
yeah. So I have an older sister. Her name is Melissa. She has special needs and she's older than me. That was actually one of the also the main reasons why my parents immigrated. So she could have a better future over here. She has special needs. She lives with my parents. I have a younger sister. Her name is Karen. She works in university. She works in UCLA. Wonderful, smart, polished. She graduated and graduated from UC Santa Barbara. I didn't have the chance to go to school, but she's extremely well educated, very smart. And Marcelo is a knucklehead. No, I'm just kidding. If he's watching,
He
no,
is
but
watching.
he,
Yeah, I think
oh
he's good.
Marcelo, oh Marcelo is the youngest in the family, very smart, very entrepreneur. Marcelo since the beginning, he's always been entrepreneur. He always very competitive. You know how the younger brother, he's very competitive. He wants to beat you all the time. That's Marcelo. We were kids, he wants to beat everybody. He was the younger brother who wants to be around the older people. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Well, yeah.
That's
Well, he keeps
Marcelo.
you sharp
Yeah,
because
he's a stud. Huh?
males, brothers, they got to compete.
Yeah.
If you can only be one person in the world, it's going to be your. I don't have a brother. I have two sisters. Growing up at my house, having two sisters, if you've, and I'm the only son, we had a sign in our house that said, "You don't have to be crazy to live here, but if you are, it helps."
Mm.
And I carried that over into my business that you don't have to be crazy to work here. We'll train you.
Yeah, but
So
Marcelo is good.
go
Yes.
go. So yeah. So now you're working at PHP. So now take us into where Patrick was talking about this period where were you working at Sears at the time that he's talking about, and you didn't really sell anything, any policy, do
No,
anything magical?
I saw a couple of them. A
Okay,
couple
so
of
he
them.
exaggerated a little bit.
Yes,
It was good.
I mean that was horrible. Okay, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. But I quit Sears. I had the chance. The moment I learned sales, things started to improve. Things started to get better. And then I went from the sales guy to the next step. I would say, so I started to make some money, but I went from sales to entrepreneur now. That's the
Yeah.
second thing. And that's when the things started to go a little bit different because entrepreneur is sales guy is very individual. If I'm okay, I'm okay. Who cares? An entrepreneur, you're training other people, you're hiring people, you're having systems, you're starting to have staff. You go to the process of okay, if I'm not present, can I still make money? It's like this guy who owns a restaurant, and the guy who owns a restaurant tells me, you know what, I'm a business owner, and but the guy has to be there 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. No, you're not a business owner. You're an employee but you need to. You're just an employee. Just that's it. And I went from the transition of being an entrepreneur. Can I make money whether I show up or not? Can I create systems? And that took me time because system takes times.
Yes.
Um, so that was the next phase that I went through
Did so at what point did Patrick ever sit down with you personally?
all the time. Oh my
And
gosh.
if there was one thing outside of, we know, the heart one that got you, is there one specific conversation that really stands out that he had with you? So a little backstory with Rodolfo and I. We met what 7 years ago now, and
Hmm.
you ended up handling all of my insurance stuff. And actually, you brought your sharpshooter, your wife, and she just like, I like whatever she says. I'm good. Whatever she says, right? And y'all really helped
No,
me out because it was complicated stuff. But is there any conversation that you remember having dinner with
yep.
him? I remember when I flew out to you introduced us, and we flew out and we met with him and we went to dinner. I mean, the guy is just an amazing conversationalist and a salesperson.
Yes.
Anything that stands out for you?
Yes. I remember one day I'm in California. And he says, Rodolfo, we need to talk. And I say, awesome, man. So I'm excited. We need to talk. So I'm going to learn something, right? and we went to Maggiano's. He took me to Maggiano's. It was him and Ceci and I, and we're having a private conversation. He says we get into the place and he says, I want the private table in the entire Maggiano's. So we go to Maggiano's, and he sat me down and he says, Rodolfo, I think that you should leave. I mean, leave? What do you mean by leaving? You want me to leave the company? I mean, after all these years? He says, no, I want you to leave California. I said, where am I going to go? And he started telling me different places that I should be starting to take a look at it. Maybe Chicago, maybe Florida. And he says, maybe Houston. I say, Houston? I've never been in Houston. I mean, how? I mean, it's not that I have family. It's not that I know people. I said, I think that you should go to Houston. You're going to be good in Houston. And this is when you get tested. The coachability gets tested because everybody can be coachable when everything makes sense. When things don't make sense, that's difficult to be coachable to your coach, to your mentor. So he says, I think that you need to go for in a couple weeks. You need to go for a weekend. You need to see if you like it. So that conversation, and I came back for a weekend, and I came back and I told Patrick, I'm moving to Houston. Without no one single soul, we didn't know anybody here. So we came, and that's where the story comes, because sometimes we live in a world where everything is fear. Everything is like, no, you cannot do it. You're negative. You cannot do it. You will never accomplish anything. And sometimes we need one coach, one mentor who takes fear away from you. So for me, Patrick, at that time I was so fearful. I had so many doubts, so many insecurities. And he says, you know what? I believe in you. I believe that you should go to a new territory. So because of that conversation in Maggiano's, that's why we came over here to Houston.
Man, he's very convincing.
But let me tell you, it was the best. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I wouldn't come over here in Houston.
Well, I wouldn't have met you either.
We haven't met. We have never met.
So I want to move now to because the whole talk was like, so now you're moving towards these 4 principles or these 4 wealth. There are things in life that people give as suggestions, right? And then there's things like gravity. You can believe in gravity or not, but if you get on top of your house, you jump off, you're going to hit the ground. You don't have to believe it. And I think these things that you're about to cover, because we've talked about them, we discussed them before many times, and they're like those. They're principles that you apply these principles, they're going to happen. Just like gravity. You don't have to believe it. Mm-hmm. Or electricity. So tell us, so guide me into that first one.
First one is, he says, okay, here's the question that we need to ask before we go into, okay, what do we want? What is our purpose? What is driven? Let's just say somebody says, I want to be free. I want to become ultra wealthy. I want to change. I want to make a difference. I want to become financially independent. Okay, great. So he said, number 1, we talked about it, is learn sales. Okay, great. So we learn sales. Then the next step is we need to become an entrepreneur. Now, become an entrepreneur. Number 2 is become an entrepreneur. I don't know. Have you heard of the book, The Image? Obviously, you heard of The Image, right?
Yep.
And that's when people start thinking, okay, am I an entrepreneur? Am I a technician? Am I the visionary? At what part? Who's going to be my role? Am I the manager? So I started learning that stuff, and I became an entrepreneur. Now, the third step is with majority of people messed up. And this is very important, the third step. And Patrick always said, listen, Rodolfo, sales, great. Become an entrepreneur, great. But number 3 is you need to make sure what industry do you choose. You need to make sure that you choose a great industry. So I didn't know what to do. I chose insurance and financial services. By anybody in the audience, they might get to choose whatever industry they want to choose. But he says, every time you're about to choose the industry that you're going to go, you need to see supply and demand, he said. And supply and demand, he says, if everybody's doing it, you're too late. He said that. When everybody's doing it,
Oh, yeah. It's like that in every industry. It's like real estate. You want to buy when it's the slums and nobody wants to buy it and there's crackheads everywhere.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, he says, Man, Rodolfo, listen, man. If you are crazy, if everybody's doing it, if your mother, your brother, your sister, your cousin, if everybody's talking about it, you're too late.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you need to. He says you need to be ahead of the trend. And he taught me stuff like you need to learn about trending of generations. And I started learning about millennials, Generation X's, baby boomers, seniors. What is that they need? What is the biggest generations are going to be needing in the future? We start talking about the stuff, and he says choose an industry that has a biggest trend that is trending, that is going to be trending the next 2 to 3, 4 years. It might not be trending right now, he said. It might not be sexy right now, but you might make it sexy in the future. It's like, imagine this: 30 years ago, who drinks coffee 30 years ago? You know who drinks coffee 30 years, 40 years ago?
Truck drivers
Try.
and male people
Yes,
and my grandmother.
yeah, old people. I mean, but let me tell you. Today I go to Starbucks. Who drinks at Starbucks now? Everybody. Who drinks coffee now? Everybody. But we don't drink regular coffee. We drink at Starbucks. And we drink frappuccinos. I'm drinking my Starbucks. I was joking around the other day, and I said, "You will never see me with Folgers, never in my life."
You're such a prima donna now. Look at you, from Sears to this. That should have been the title. I should have, from Sears to having the Queen of England's personal chef cooking for you and your wife.
Can you believe
that would have been much better.
Yeah, hey, but there is this coffee. You know what is the coffee that the monkeys they eat? They eat it, they digest it.
You know, it's called because the Jack Nicholson movie, he drank that stuff.
Yes,
that movie,
but I tried it the other day. It's delicious.
Oh my gosh, you admitted that one.
Yeah, but anyway. So I went to that phase of okay, what industry am I gonna choose? So I recommend everybody to choose an industry that might not be the sexiest industry, but it will become in the future. That is gonna be trending. So that requires for us to have a good vision. Think about computers too. Computers is the other example. What was a computer when in the 1970s? I mean, everybody was using, or the computer was only for companies. And what was the company? Only IBM.
Yep.
Only IBM. And then these guys, crazy guys that say Steve Wozniak with the Steve Jobs come with this idea of, you know what, everybody should have personal computers. And it was this guy named Ron Wayne, you know, he sold his share for $800 and that guy could be $60 billion. So I started listening to those stories about Apple, about Facebook, so that kind of good stuff. So he says, you need to be ahead of the trend. That's point number 3.
So I got to throw in something really quick. So when you remember when Steve Jobs, he was ousted, right? You know, John Scully, he convinced John Scully to come in with that statement that spoke to his heart, and he said, I think it was, what do you want to be known for? Selling sugar water or changing the world? And John Scully said that was the day that he decided he'd be CEO. Unfortunately for Steve Jobs, that was a bad day for him when he got ousted, right? But I was living in the Palo Alto, just on the outside of Palo Alto, when Steve Jobs came back. And I used to walk the campus of Stanford University when I lived out there and pretend in my mind that I was going to Stanford. But I didn't go to Stanford. In my mind, I was like, so this is what it would feel like being a student at Stanford. I think Tiger Woods was out there at that time, too. Tiger Woods. And great people. So anyway, it had nothing to do with your story. It had everything to do with me, Rodolfo.
No, I like it, but I like the story. There is a book. It was written in the 80s. It's called Accidental Millionaire. I don't know if you're Accidental Millionaire. It's the story about Apple. Great book because it explains to you, what if you're there? What if you're there in the moment? Imagine that you're there in that meeting when Facebook got started. Or imagine this. I call you and I say, Randall, let's do a meeting, man. And we're in 1993, 1994. And I said, what's the meeting, Rodolfo? Don't worry about it. Just come over here, man. And I said, what is it? Well, I'm going to have beer and I'm going to have pizza. So everybody chose, right? I said, guys, I have a great idea. What's your idea, Rodolfo? You're crazy. Guys, why don't we sell books? I say, books? You're dumb or what, Rodolfo? No, books, guys. That's the future. I say, why? Why books? Guys, we're going to be selling books, but it's something that nobody's using, but it's going to use it in the future. It's called the internet. And everybody's going to buy books on internet. And obviously, my name is not Rodolfo. My name is Jeff Bezos. And the name for company is Amazon. But that dude might have been crazy at that time. Imagine the guy is dreaming about selling books online.
Right.
But he was ahead. He was ahead of the trend. So those stories inspire.
You
Hmm.
know, you just really made me think of something, and I screenshot it just so I would remember that Patrick said. It says business is all about anticipation. If you can anticipate what comes next, you'll have the edge over your competitor. That's exactly what you're talking about. It's exactly what I always talk about, and I always look like the crazy person why I left an industry and moved to this industry, because I seen what was going on in that industry and what was going on in the one that I'm in, and I wanted to be ahead of it.
You are, yeah. I like it.
So we're on number 4, right?
Yes, number four.
Okay, that's the good one.
Yeah, the last one is and the last one is find a platform or find a mentor or find a coach because here's what happened. Okay, great. We can be good at sales. We can be great entrepreneurs. We can choose the right industry, but with the wrong crowd, with the wrong people, with the wrong coach, with the wrong person, at the end of the day, is you're gonna be bad. So
Yes.
if you can find a group of people that with integrity, with core values, with a vision, oh my gosh, that you are it. And I was lucky. I mean, I was lucky to find somebody who actually care, because there is a lot of people who, yeah, they care about the money, which is good though. We need to be profitable. We need to make good money. But to find somebody who actually care about you, I remember when Harvey happened. You and I, it was difficult for the people who were watching in Houston. That was difficult. And by the way, at that time, we were all positive. We were saying amen. But inside, man, we were insecure about what was going to happen.
Yep.
We couldn't come to our office for 3 weeks, almost a month. We couldn't come to our office. There were no sales. There were some sales, but there was not like it used to. So that was difficult, and a lot of entrepreneurs, they suffered for it. That was very suffering. That was difficult, and a lot of people lost their houses and everything. So here's what happened: some of our people lost their homes. Some of our close people in our agency lost their homes, lost it, lost it. No flood insurance. They were not in a flooding area. They lost it. And I received a call from Patrick. And Patrick said, "Listen, man, I want to go there." See, Patrick, you cannot come over here, man. You're crazy. You cannot come. There is no way that you can come. No, I want to go. And the hurricane happened and end up on Saturday. He was here on Monday. And we did a fundraising. I think that we did like $50,000, $60,000 that we collected, and we give it to people. We went and look at their houses, and why is that important? Because I believe that we get the people together. We have people in Puerto Rico, and I also have the hurricane. And by the way, people in Puerto Rico who are watching, I believe there are some people from Puerto Rico watching as well. Um, we just started working with them 2 months prior, and boom, the hurricane happened. And we're talking to them. And I say, what do you need? Do you need money? And they say, no, we don't need money, Rodolfo. I mean, what are we going to
What
do
are we
with
going to
money?
do with the money?
Yeah,
Exactly.
what are we going to buy?
We're going to
And they
burn it.
say, like Pablo
Use it for
Escobar,
fun.
like
Yeah,
Pablo
exactly.
Escobar.
Oh yeah. Hey, I got a good story about that guy.
And you know what he said? No, bro, I need a generator. He says, I need and I say, no problem. We take care of you. We got in my generator. So those are the stuff. By the way, it's given, but it's also receiving. I have received a lot of love from our agents. Not only my mentor, but also the agents over here who work with us. The guys that support, the love, the help, a lot of help that we do. So that last point, I mean, it's crucial. If you can find a group of people that care, that love each other with a great platform, with integrity, my gosh, that's game over.
Yeah. Well, we definitely have to talk about the misses.
Oh, let me tell you. Talking about that I believe it's 100% true that finding a good partner, finding a good wife or a good husband for the ladies watching is extremely important. Extremely important.
Oh
As
yeah.
an entrepreneur, there are times, honestly, I've been down. There are times that I beat that man. Gosh, these men, man, I'm down. And she comes and says, "No, man, it's gonna be okay." I say, "Great, it's gonna be
She
okay."
said it's okay. I believe her.
And I remember when Harvey happened, when the hurricane happened. It says there is a day, like they were supporting, and it's a day that says, he says, "Oh my," and she got a breakthrough. She said she started a breakdown. Oh my God, she started crying. Man, we need to do something. This is crazy. And then everybody in the team started, says it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. And I tell him, says, you know what? We're gonna make it happen. So in a couple, oh my gosh, if we can find a couple, that could be fifth point, by the way, if you want to call it number five. If
Yeah,
you
the
want,
magic five.
yes, if you find a partner with the same goals, vision, desire, my God, it's game over.
Yeah,
Game
I
over.
agree. Well, man, you've built a great team over there. How many people you have on your team now over there? And
And
you have a
here in
couple of pool
Houston,
offices.
yes, we're in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, Chicago, Laredo, McAllen, Bronxville. We started with one office in Houston. You want to know the story about my first meeting I do?
Oh, of
First meeting I
course.
do. No, everybody, I mean, yeah, now it's bunk. A lot of people, hundreds of people come to the class. It's amazing, okay? But here's the story about my first meeting. So I invite this, I'm doing my grand opening, okay? And this only says CNI. Grand opening, boom. I had the projector ready, I had the chairs ready, everything is ready. You know, when you do the grand opening, you have some wine, some cookies, and all that kind of crazy stuff. Grand opening. You know how many people showed up?
How
One
many?
person showed up. One person showed up.
Was this a relative?
No, not even, not even because we didn't have any relative. One person showed up.
Did you tell them, hey, you just missed everybody?
No, you know what I told her? Here's what I told her. She sat down in the front. Okay, she's sitting down in the front, and I said, "Listen, today, I don't want to do group meeting. I want to do one on one because I want to do full attention to you."
That's
And
the salesperson in you.
she says, she raised her hand. There is nobody there. She raised. That's the weirdest moment ever. She raised her hand and she says, "I have a question. What's your question? Can I go to the restroom?" She said, "Sure, go." She went to the restroom. And you know the story. You know what
Yeah.
happened. She
She never
never
came
came
back.
back. I never saw her again.
Oh
If
my.
I see her again, she's gonna go crazy
Yeah.
because
So
she.
now you have hundreds of people coming to your
Right.
events. So if some anybody who's listening who's not experienced Rodolfo and heard him speak, you need to go and check him out. And there, he may say something that actually speaks to your heart, and you could go working from Costco or Sears or Walmart to being having the. So I wanted to get to this the last part, how you had the personal chef of the Queen and Princess Di, the late Princess Di,
Yeah,
cooking for you last week. So where tell me that story, and then I want you to tell where people where you're speaking next and what dates and times, and we're going to
yeah,
provide them with all that so they don't have to remember it.
yeah. We can post it also
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
comments. But guys, the wildest, Rando, the wildest stories has happened to me. Wildest, like from I mean, my honeymoon. If you didn't, my honeymoon was in the Quality Inn. That was my honeymoon. Okay, not here in El Salvador. That's my honeymoon. I didn't have a honeymoon. My wildest is my. I used to drive a Toyota Tercel. That's my life. But my wildest dreams, you know, I have swum with sharks. I have dinner with the chef of the Queen Elizabeth in Princess Diana. I have a stay in the Burj Al Arab. Go to Burj Al Arab in Dubai, the only 7-star hotel in the world. I've been in Puerto Rico, San Lucia, San Croix, Barbados, Virgin Islands, San Martin. Tonight I'm flying to Italy, and then I'm going to Greece, and then we're going to Croatia, Dubrovnik, Santorini, Athens. We're going to those places. I'm taking all my family. I'm taking my parents and my Ceci's parents. We're taking them tonight. You know, we're talking about the experience and everything with the family. I'm taking my parents for the first time to Europe, and my wife's parents the first time they're going to Europe today. Wildest stuff, man. Driven Ferraris, Lamborghinis. I just got the new i8, you know, and I used to drive a Toyota. So my wife just got a new Maserati. We're getting a property right now, a couple $1 million that we're getting a property in a crazy from living in a small apartment. And why is that excited? Because I believe, you know, somebody said this comment the other day. Somebody said this comment. I don't think that I can do it because I work at Walmart. Or I don't think I'm not. Let me tell you, man. Um, Here's the philosophy that a lot of people have. They say, I can do this if I have a college education, which is good though. That was my dream. I wanted to go to college, go to university, like you, go to Stanford. But let me tell you, I believe that people can improve. I believe in improvement. I believe in that people can change. You know, people say nobody can change. People are just like they are. No, I believe that people can change if they want to change, if they have the desire to change. If people improve, if I change and I start improving, things have started to get better. Things have started to get better. Like Jim Brown says, you know, it's like Jim Brown always says, you work harder on yourself than you do on your job. You start working harder on yourself. You start working on your physical appearance. You start working on your mindset. So yeah, wildest experiences. I mean, unbelievable. For going to Cinque Terre in Italy to buying a clothes in Italy, just to go to buy some clothes in Italy, and then come back to having private jet. We're going right now. We're going a private jet with the top performers. We're going to Las Vegas to party in Las Vegas in a private jet with DJ Tiesto stuff like that.
Yeah. You,
It's
you know, uh,
crazy.
and you may have been at some point in your life, you may have heard somebody say, all of what you're saying, and they did different experiences. They did these crazy things. I mean, you hear people like Ty Lopez and showing like his cars and all the great experiences he has and all these different people. And it's really, honestly, it's not about those things. It's just those things are what somebody who doesn't know you or know that person can validate that, okay, what they're saying is true, that they really do have things. There are people who decide, they don't want to buy those things, but they have, they spend their money on experiences.
I'm
Like
a full believer in that.
Neil Patel, right? You probably never heard of this guy, but he's really well known in the digital media space, right? He was being interviewed and he had his phone and he's sitting in his house and Billie Jean is marketing was interviewing him, right? And he asked him, he says, "Hey man, well, I just bought a Ferrari. What kind of car do you drive?" And he goes, "You want to know what kind of car I drive?" And he was sitting there and he turns his phone and he says, "You see that? That's my driveway." And he's like, "There's no car in it." He goes, "Yeah, I don't own a car." He goes, "What?" Because you don't own a car. And he goes, "In fact, this house, I bought it 3 years ago." And he pans around and he goes, "And it was a model home. Everything in this house was here when I bought it. And that TV right there, the fake TVs, was still there 3 years later." Because that is not what he invested in, businesses and people. That's what he loves. So, the reason I say that, because a lot of people who watch, stuff like this, they hear all of that stuff, and you're definitely not bragging about that. You're just showing, hey, if it's your dream to do these things, if you want to experience, I mean, you only get one life, right? People say you only live once. No, you only die once. You live every day. And you're saying live every day as if it's your last, because one day it will be. And I think those 4 principles, like you said, and you follow those, and you guys need to go check out Rodolfo and what you guys are talking about. So where exactly are you? What's the next speaking that you have? I know you have one here in Houston, right?
No, we do twice a week. Twice a week we do meetings in the office in Houston. Is I'm gonna post the address over
Okay.
there. Every day I have orientations every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. and every Saturday at 9:30. And
Okay.
yeah, hundreds of people, they come to the classes and they love it, because we're not teaching them only insurance or financial services. We're teaching entrepreneurship, how to run
Yes.
their own business, how to have their own offices. So
Right.
people are liking it, and that's the idea. The idea is, yes, we want to help our family. We want to make a difference. We want to make the money. We have our dreams. We want to do that. We want purpose. But at the end of the day, is what person are we becoming in the process?
Right.
It's weird. The other day, I got this guy named George Pelayo, come to California, right? And he gets into my car and he said, "Oh, that's a cool car." And I say, "Yeah, it's cool. You want to drive it?" "Yeah, I drive it." And that's it. He's driving the I-8, right? He's having fun in the I-8. And then he asked me, "Rodolfo, tell me about the story about the Toyota Tercel." And we started talking about the Toyota Tercel, and I said, "What kind of drive did you drive when you were broke?" And he started telling me. And then we got excited. We were not excited. I mean, we liked the car, the I-8. We have fun, but we were more excited about talking about the struggles. We got
Right.
excited that, the Toyota Tercel, one day I got there and I didn't have gas, and I tell him the story that was so horrible that no, the girls, they didn't want to get into that car. Nobody know the girl. Says she didn't like that car. She hated that car. And we started talking about the stuff. And you know what happened? You know what I got from it is that at the end of the day, we need to enjoy also the struggle. We need to enjoy the difficulty, because that's what we remember. Obviously, we need to get out of it. So now it's fun, but we're in the struggle. It's not fun at all. But
Right.
if you become a better person, we enjoy it, and we remind ourselves about the bad stuff, and we get better.
Right. You know why, you probably experienced this. It's like, when you're a family member, maybe it's your mom or your grandmother cooks something, right? She can give you
Amazing.
that exact recipe, everything, and you do it exactly. And then you eat it and it just doesn't taste the same. You know why that is?
Why is that?
Because they have one ingredient that you can't put in it, and that's TLC,
Oh, what TLC?
tender love and care.
I love it.
You just can't put mom's tender love and care. That's the secret, or your wife's or your spouse's ingredient in there. That's the one. That's why everybody says, like, it just doesn't taste like, even if it's just a mindset. And I think that this is a perfect ending to what is turned out to be one of my favorite interviews. Here we're at 6. And I plan on doing a lot of these, but I knew this was going to be a good one. We're personal friends, so some of these stories I've heard, some of them I haven't. You always try to find a little nugget that you don't. I didn't know the loss prevention story, so I appreciate you sharing that with everybody. And I know you have many more stories, and they have to meet your wife. If anything that you go to one of these, you have to meet his wife. She's amazing, and excuse me. And if you're a woman, yeah, you definitely got to meet her. It's just she's an amazing story in herself. That I should interview her at some point down the line when she gets some free time.
Awesome.
I would love to do that. So, any closing statements that I know you speak a lot, so you pretty much have a closing statement that you usually give.
No, the closest guys. I believe, Randall, you're adding value to the community. So my closing message is about you. I really like it. And by the way, I like the name Think Like a Marketer. Everybody who's watching this, you guys need to start following Randall. Because you bring value to people. You bring value. You say you don't ask for it. You give value. You give value to people. So if everybody needs to watch the channel, I believe that you're gonna bring value to a lot of people, and a lot of people need to start following you. So that's it, man. And
Look at she came on.
wish you the best.
She came in the very end. Your wife. She
Oh,
says, "I'm
did she
here."
really? Maybe
She
somebody
did.
told her that we were talking about her.
No, she knew. She's they
She
have
said,
that sixth sense. Like, hold
she
on a
said,
minute. What's he talking about?
maybe she's saying, hey, we need to go to Italy. We need to catch a plane. We need to
We
hurry
need to
up.
get out of here. Hey, Rodolfo, I want to thank you and all of you. You invited a lot of your friends on, and they came to support you. I want to thank you and them because you given me the most valuable thing that you have, and I appreciate it. And it's your time, and of course, the audience paying attention to what we both had to say, and hopefully they got value. And again, we'll put links to everything that Rodolfo said, whether in the comments. I'll make sure that I get that to you. And man, I enjoyed this interview with you today, Rodolfo.
Thank you. I
And,
enjoyed too.
oh, cool. And for those of you guys who aren't following me on the Think Like a Marketer show, you can go to Facebook, Think Like a Marketer show. You can follow me there. We're going to be growing out a Facebook group that we really want to bring together people. If you have a podcast or you have a live show, connect with me on there. We'll see if we can get you on the show. I really want to build a directory of people that we can tap into so that we can have people like Rodolfo sharing it in other venues, not just this one. He's a great speaker. He's got many different other topics, and him and his wife. So if you have a show, podcast, or you have a live feed, or if you know someone, share this with them, and let's build a directory. And again, Rodolfo, thanks for coming on, and thank you everybody, and we're out.